More predictable than a game of spin the bottle, and it's brought to you by Garage Gym Radio. It's Rep, Rant, Repeat, the only home gym podcast hosted by a guy whose squat PR is lower than his body fat percentage. Now, I have a few things I actually want to discuss in this episode, so let's dive in before I spend my last $200 on something I will inevitably regret. I want to start this one with a game I like to play. Fun, right? But hold on. This is a very dangerous game, and I do not recommend it. In fact, I call it just the tip, the home gym edition. And in a nutshell, okay, there's probably a joke in there, but I'm not going to touch that one. In a nutshell, it's that kind of hypothetical purchase you make, or that process of sort of kind of shopping for items after you've declared numerous times that you're never going to buy them. And I keep saying you, but it's me. I'm the one who does this, and it has not escaped me that I just invited all of you, all 99.5 of you who are inevitably 40-year-old dudes. I just invited you guys to play a game, or at least follow along while I play a game of just the tip. So anyway, the subject for this game is going to be plates. So if you're one of those weight is weight guys, you're definitely going to want to stick around for it, even if for no other reason than just to marvel at the mindfuck that it is for those of us who overthink the essentials like weight plates. Now, I've done a lot of the legwork already. And like I said, this is the kind of stuff that consumes me. So let me just set the stage a little bit. Okay. I have the Rogue deep dish plates. And they're great. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. I have way more of them than I'm ever going to need. And I have more sleeve on the barbell than I'm ever going to be able to consume with plates as well. So I do not need to buy weight plates. I'm not going to buy weight plates. Okay. Now, with that out of the way, though, if I did buy weight plates, this is the criteria that they would have to meet, since I've already got the Rogue deep dish. So do you see how dangerous this is? Like, I'm flirting with this idea, knowing full well that I may go all the way to the hilt. So the criteria, they have to be dramatically different from what I currently own, right? So similar iron plates like Strength Co, for example, probably isn't going to make the cut. They're going to have to be thinner, probably like a grip plate or something like that. Cause I just think grip plates in the home gym, actually not even in any gym, grip plates, they just make sense moving around the gym and stuff. If you're not a power lifter and need super thin plates or whatever, grip plates make sense. Maybe urethane. I'm not opposed to rubber. I also really like the chrome ones that are grip plates and stuff. So the other criteria would be like they couldn't be a lesser quality, or even like a perceived lesser quality. So no offense to anybody out there, but like, I wouldn't replace my Rogue plates with like Rit Fit unless Rit Fit was fucking paying me. You know what I'm saying? So not that there are anything bad with them. I'm sure they're great. They probably weigh just as close to their advertised weight as what my Rogue plates do. I'm a snob, man. I don't know what else to say, but all that being said, I feel like I've kind of narrowed it down to a few that I just keep kind of going back and forth between. Okay. So remember, I said I have the Rogue deep dish plates already. So the deep dish 45 is 1.97 inches thick, just under 2 inches. So keep that in mind as we compare some of the others from Rogue, Ivanco, American Barbell, Rep, and then also X-Master. So I'm going to share my screen real fast. All right. So the Rogue 6-shooter plates, right? These things look great. They're urethane. The 45 on these is slightly thinner at an inch and a half. I think they've got noted down here, 38 millimeters or whatever, inch and a half for the 45 plate. So a little bit thinner than the 1.97. Like I said, I think they look great. They have a cool little 6-hole revolver style look to them, and they're actually made really, really well. Like I've handled these in gyms before. They just look cool, right? You can't really go wrong with the Rogue 6-shooter. Now, another one that's very similar to that is going to be the Rep. We're going to go back here. I've got the Equalizer up. Scroll up here so you can get a better look at them. I know you've probably seen these before. Since you're listening to this, you're probably just nerdy enough to have done this yourself. But the Rep Equalizer, it's also very well made. I played with these at Home Gym Con, got my hands on them. Very, very nice plates. These ones are, though, a little bit thicker. Okay. They're actually like 1.8 inches. So not quite thin enough or different enough from my Rogue deep dish plates for them to really hit my radar. Just not enough to make me move. Okay. So Rep Equalizer out, the Rogue 6-shooter still in. Let me switch my my screen here. So next, I'm going to take a look at the Ivanco. I know some people call it Ivanco. I don't know. These are the rubber Easy Lift. They basically look the same as the Rogue 6-shooter. They're going to be the same design with the 6 holes. Although if you look at these versus the Rogue, you can see, I think that the holes are a little closer together on the Ivanco. I also kind of like this like blacked out look that they do with the Ivanco, even though these are rubber versus urethane of the Rogue. I don't think Ivanco is really a lot cheaper. I mean, they are, well, a little cheaper, right? I'm sorry, the Rogue is a little cheaper actually at $328 for a pair of 45s, whereas I think these are $175 each. It's $350. So then you're going to also pay shipping and tax and all that kind of stuff. So, Rogue actually a little bit cheaper here than Ivanco, and probably gets a little bit more street cred whenever you go to resell them in 2 years or so, after you've declared that you're never going to buy weight plates again, because these are your lifetime plates. But anyway, the Ivanco, very similar look and possibly feel to the Rogue. But again, with these, what makes them a little bit different is that they're a little bit thicker at a 1.75 inch. So thicker than the Rogue, thinner than the Rep, still not quite different enough to make me move on the Ivanco. And like I said, I don't even know if they have like a resell following the way that Rogue does. And for me, for somebody that, loses their ass every time they have a stupid notion like to play this just the tip game, that's something I have to kind of consider. So next up on the lineup is going to be the American Barbell. Now, American Barbell has 2 different options to choose from, and they essentially spec out exactly the same. The difference is that they have these rubber coated grip plates, right? So they're going to be all black no matter which weight increment it is. And then they also have the urethane, which is going to be color coded similar to what you would find on the, like the equivalent powerlifting plates, right? So your blue 45, the 35s really don't exist, but they'd be yellow if they did, and then green on your 25 and so on. So the interesting thing about the rubber plates and the urethane plates from American Barbell, a couple of things. For one, they spec out the same, whether if they're rubber or urethane. They're both 1.64 inches in thickness, and then the diameter of them. This is what makes them a little bit weird compared to like a standard plate, is that your 45-pound diameter is only 17 inches. So it's a little bit smaller in diameter. So if you're like a deadlifting purist or something, I don't know if purists really use grip plates or not, but if you are, you're going to get a little bit of a deficit with these if you're only using these. It's kind of nice if you have mixed plates. You're somebody who can stomach the idea of mixing brands and sizes and stuff of plates in your gym, because you can slide on like the 145 and then these, every one thereafter, if you have the American Barbell thereafter, they slide on without the use of any sort of a jack or anything like that. So maybe a benefit to somebody. To me, I'm not probably, who am I kidding, man? I want all my plates to match and look the same and all that stuff so I can shine them up and take pictures for the gram or something like that. It's what I lack in physique, I make up for in nice gym equipment. So this, again, another thing that I think is interesting about these, and something that I might not have considered before, these are the only ones in the lineup that the 10-pound plate also has a grip. And I thought about this because I actually have a couple of the rubber. Let me go back to the rubber here. I've got a couple of these rubber ones. I have a few 10s and a few 5s, like random number. They came with something I got on Marketplace a while back. And it's one of the things that reinvigorated my undying desire to potentially, but I'm never going to do it. But if I did, this is what they would be: grip plates, if I were to replace the plates that I have. But the 10-pound one, which is a grip, and that's that's really not where I'm going with this, but it's bigger in diameter at 9.625 inches. Most of them are like 8.8, 9, something like that. And so where that comes into play for me anyway, I have the Prime Smart Arm, and the Smart Arm has a little counterbalance weight horn on it, which is made for a standard sized weight plate. So this slightly larger 9.625 inch one is too big and too thick at 1.47 inches for me to fit 20 pounds worth of those on there. So that is something I would have to consider if I were to go with the American Barbell. I know that sounds silly. It's just another problem to solve. Not that big of a deal. In fact, I've already had conversations in the past with Brian from Wait It Out about making just a single 20-pound plate that's, a 2-inch hole that would fit the smart arm. Just because probably that I could probably just end that statement there. But in my mind, I can justify it because wouldn't it be cool to just have one 20-pound plate instead of having to load 2 10-pound plates? I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me, but those are the things that I think of, right? So anyway, like I said, probably doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but for me, it does create another problem to solve, which is maybe something that I might be into. I don't know. So another option that I had mentioned earlier, and we're going to consider in our hypothetical game, are X-Master. Okay, let me find them. Where did they go? Oh, maybe I didn't bring them up. Sorry. Now I tried to bring all this up so that you wouldn't have to watch me. Actually, oh God, don't make me Google X-Master. Oh my God, Kevin, is this happening? Let me see. Let me stop my screen share just in case. I don't want to get us canceled. Sorry about that, man. A little technical difficulty, I suppose. X-Master keyboard isn't working. When you do this, if you Google X-Master, I'm going to tell you now to Google X-Master Fitness. Okay, make sure that's very important. X-Master Fitness. Otherwise, I hope that you are prepared to scrub your history, or maybe have the Department of Justice scrub it. Evidently, they're really good at that. But okay, so I'm back on X-Master, and I feel confident now that I can share my screen without fear of repercussion here. So X-Master, they've got some really cool stuff, and this is one of those where they weren't as much on my radar until just because, like, I'm again being a little bit of a diva here. I like X-Master. I like their stuff. What I really do like about them is, let me see if I can find it here. Sorry, I'm on a tangent. We'll get back to the plate game, to just the tip, but for now, you're just going to have to, coddle me for a minute while I go down this rabbit hole. But if you can see this thing here, let's see if I can find it better. Their logo is what I'm trying to find, like just a good picture of their logo. It's really cool. I think it's like, I don't know, 2 little sickles or axes or something like that, but it looks super cool. And I don't remember who I was talking to, maybe Matt Pendergraph or something, but here on this, it's a pretty good picture of it. That's the logo, right? I think that's really cool. The name X-Master doesn't really do a lot for me personally. But maybe it'll grow on me as they continue to grow and take up more space in the home gym space. But I think these plates would look really freaking cool if they got rid of this branding and just replaced it with the logo. Same thing. So with like the urethanes and whatnot, but I think that would be super, super cool. Anyway, these chrome they just look cool. I know, because I stood in front of them. Like, if I had them, it's not even the fingerprints that I would be worried about. It's the breath, the swelling breath from me just standing and breathing heavily on them like a fetish. But they look super cool. They look great in the gym and stuff. I don't know if maybe they're like, where I go back and forth with them is maybe they're too flashy for my gym space or something like that, but they look really, really good. They're super thin at 0.78 inches, which is insane, right? It's like the complete opposite direction of where I went with the deep dish game. These are the thin crust, and they come in pounds, they come in kilograms, and they come with grips, right? You can also get them in gold, and then also the same thing, they're urethanes. Now, their urethanes are the thinnest of all of them that are on this list at 1.37 inches for the 45. Again, these also come in pounds. They're really, really cool. I don't know if you can see from the website, but they actually have, you can, on this edge right here, this little edge is like knurled, which is really cool. And they're just really, really nice. They, like urethane plates in a gym, they just feel good. They still have a little bit, they're not like super rattly like you're going to get from steel plates or from iron plates or anything like that, but they do still make a little bit of noise. I played, like I said, played with these at Home Gym Con, just super, super nice. I was really, really impressed with the quality of them. I honestly thought that they were going to be like your typical kind of Alibaba, because you see, if you go to Alibaba or Temu, I don't know about Temu, but any of those sites, they all kind of start to look the same. They even have the same branding on them. I mean, you can get like Prime Fitness, picture of a Prime Fitness machine, and then whatever they send to you is some knockoff. Sometimes it's something that looks very similar, and sometimes they just completely bait and switch you. But anyway, these also, and let me look at the diameter of that, because I might just made a liar of myself. I might have misunderstood that 10-inch plate diameter, 300 millimeters. Now you're going to make me Google. Is that in inches? Sorry, man. This is what I tried to avoid. 11.81 inches. So see, there's a snag. There's a hiccup in my urethane 10-pound plate from X-Master is a larger diameter at 11.81 inches. So this, I would have to do the same problem solving with the Prime Smart Arm. And I don't balk at solving the problem. In fact, I kind of thrive in that, but it is something that I would take into consideration, right? I'd probably have it solved before I even received them in the mail. Like I said, I've already had conversations about solving a problem I don't have currently. So, let me go back to the Chrome ones again and just double check that, because I might be an idiot. Oh yeah. Okay. That's what it is, where my confusion was. The Chromes only go down as far as 25. So 25, 45, 55, and then 35 if you're Brandon. And so with those, you get just your standard. They have these chrome non-grip style plates like this right here that you would get for your 10s and change plates. And they are your standard diameters. So a 10-pound at 228. Let's go ahead and just plug this into our Googler. 8.97. So that's more standard. That's what I was talking about. I think the Rogue is 8.8 or something like that. Maybe it's 8.97. I don't know. But that would be perfectly fine for my other purpose. Okay. So that is X-Master. Now, that was kind of the game in a nutshell. I wish that it went this fast, and I wish that it went as easily as what I feel like I just demonstrated on this, but this is where I get to. This is every time I go through it, this is like years of me not only probably missing out on family functions, but just being complete, like a complete vegetable at the dinner table. My wife sees I'm just completely consumed and unable to carry on a conversation because, I'm just thinking about weight plates and which weight plates would I buy if I was going to, but I'm not going to, but if I did, what would they be? And I'm playing out the math and trying to think through all the problems and all that kind of stuff. And then I get here where I'm like, okay, I think I'm really excited about these from X-Master. And that's where I pull out, because I like the chrome ones. I like the urethane ones, but which ones are going to be the better? Which ones would I like more long-term? Which ones am I going to be least likely to, a year down the road, replace with the other one? Or what if they come out with these and then they change the logo or something like that? Or like with X-Master, it's not listed on the site here, but you can get the urethanes, you can get them in black. And then you can also do like the color. You can pick different colors. So if I wanted like prime lime, right, and get rid of my gym right now, it's feeling very black leather and studs with all the black, and it looks like the inside of a coffin, but then also I've got all this like black and knurled stainless and raw steel and stuff like that. So it's starting to kind of look like the Blue Oyster Club, leather biker from the 80s Police Academy movie or whatever, in there. And so does the chrome accentuate that? Does it take away from that? Should I get the urethane and then maybe go with, instead of the white lettering, I get the lime green, or you know what I mean? And so then I just overwhelm myself with all of the options and ideas and things like that. And then, just tap out and think about it some other day, try to put it to rest in hopes that maybe it never ever happens. Or if it does, I have it figured out. So that's it. That's what we pull out before we go all the way to the hilt. That is just the tip. So anyway, like I said, that's my game. I say I'm never going to buy something. Then before you know it, I'm completely and totally consumed, picking it apart, comparing it, trying to either validate or diffuse. And the next thing you know, your garage is just full of shit and your kid's college fund is on back order from Rogue or whatever. Speaking of people who are way more disciplined than me, let's check out what's going on in the home gym Hub tags. So last episode, I asked you assholes to tag me in your Home Gym Hub feature. Some of you did, 3 of you to be exact. So I guess I can either assume I only have 3 listeners, which is highly likely now that I say it out loud, or maybe the rest of you just haven't gotten around to it. If you've been featured by Home Gym Hub, tag my IG page, Rep Rant Repeat, so I can check it out. In the meantime, let's take a quick look at those who were paying attention during the last episode. So the first one came in from Roarman Strength. This is Rory. He's the guy with the megalith handles and coincidentally the 3D shoulders that evidently do not fit in a t-shirt, hence the man tanks. And that's not hate. It's all in deep-seated jealousy, Rory. Seriously, we all want 3-dimensional shoulders. Rory's gym, it's changed faster than my mind whenever I see shipping costs at checkout, and he's not the only one. Okay. Doc Smitty, gym number 209 on the Home Gym Hub. His gym looks different, right? Medals from when he and his wife were competitive in powerlifting. Now, at this point, he says he's reduced himself to a wannabe bodybuilder, but his real claim to fame is his wife, who used to compete internationally in the USAPL Fed. So all jokes aside, that is really cool. There's a really small percentage of people that can make that kind of commitment it takes to compete, even in one meet. And that's me. I'm the person who cannot make that kind of commitment. I've never competed in a meet in my life or God, probably even anything else for that matter. So hats off. Seriously. That's a tremendous gem and a tremendous accomplishment. Next one up is going to be Jonathan Rosner. This is number 227 on Home Gym Hub. I'm sensing a theme here, and I don't mean the Superman vibe. I'm talking about how Jonathan's gym has also changed since his Home Gym Hub debut. He's removed the rep rack. That's this Superman theme thing in the back. He's replacing it with one from Irwin Fitness, and he's also snagged a couple of Ultras, and he's updated his logo. He also says, and he actually says it in the description here on the Home Gym Hub thing, that he's moving down to the basement from the game room, what I assume is the game room up here, or maybe it's a built out attic. But, I did try to get him to take this god awful carpet down there with him, but he wouldn't commit to it. So Jonathan, it looks great. I can't wait to see the updates. Can't wait to see what you've done with it. And meanwhile, my biggest upgrade was probably selling off the 13 barbells I had that were just decorating the walls of my garage. God knows I never used them, but hey, you know what, man? Let's rant because that is apparently what I do the best. All right, I'm going to call this section the rant interlude because I don't even know if this is really a rant or not. This is just kind of an epiphany that I had. Don't ask me what I was doing whenever I had the epiphany, but I thought about this. I sold some of my stuff in my gym. I've got a lot of extra floor space and stuff. And I thought, you know what, man, having a bare gym like that is kind of like shaving your junk. Like, sure, it looks bigger in the pictures and maybe even in some angles, it might even feel bigger, but it's definitely not. So you might as well fill that thing up, right? Put as much gym equipment in there as you can. Fill it out like it's 1973. Right. About another thing that epiphany that I had over the last couple of days or whatever since the last podcast was import companies and their misleading measurements. You know what I mean? Like, why do they do that? Maybe somebody can fill me in or give me some insight. Why is it that those of us who are like deep in this, right? We know that if it's made in the US, it's going to be 3x3. Why do they do that when they're import companies? Why do they still call them 3x3? Why do they still call, I mean, I know it's not really a 1-to-1 and it's pretty confusing for people that haven't figured that out the hard way or don't have access to that 2-rep cave. Is that thing even, you know, I'm talking about the 2-rep cave spreadsheet thing that was like all the rage in 2020. I bet that dude is probably still in Fiji from, if he gets like hits or whatever, if he gets paid by impressions or however you do that, he's probably in Fiji still doing 2 reps in his cave or whatever. But anyway, the people that aren't as privy, like why, I mean, they are just as capable of learning the 75 by 75 and a 26 millimeter hole or whatever fits on that and whatever. And they can read about the, you know, translations from one to the next order, but why do the companies call them 3x3 and 1 inch if they're really not? And especially when you know that if you go buy a 3x3 1 inch, it may not quite fit right, or it may not, whatever. So anyway, that's my tangent on that. I'm hoping, I mean, we are smart enough, even though Americans don't like it, even though we prefer to have pounds on our plates instead of kilograms or whatever, we could figure it out and you could put a disclaimer or this and that or whatever, but it just feels really misleading to me for them to do that. And for whatever reason, American companies don't call theirs 75 by 75 when they're 3 by 3. So I guess I don't get the deal. So I should stop and take a breath in those sometimes. But anyway, while I sit here yelling at the camera like an old man yells at clouds, let me give you an update on my so-called certified gym. So you heard it right. I am living the Massonomics certification dream. I just really like what those guys do. And now I have a certified Massonomics gym because they're such a part of this community. I like supporting small companies, people in the business that are grinding it out and everything. And it's something that I wanted to do. Now, full disclosure, the crew thing, like how that came to be. Also, like I said, I like to support affiliates and people that I feel like they kind of get exploited sometimes by these bigger companies. And so anytime I know I'm making a purchase, if I can reach out to somebody, if I don't know already somebody that has a link or a code or something like that, I have a network of people that I might reach out to and say, hey man, does anybody have nobody advertises their code the way that MW Pig 5 gets advertised. So sometimes you got to reach out to people and say like, hey, do you have an affiliate with somebody or whatever? So I was I purchased the CAS handles with the nice like my little insert thing, and then also the belt fed straps that go with it. So it's like a 3-part collaboration. And I wanted to see if anybody had an affiliate link with any of those places other than Prime, because I think we all know who's got that one, right? But so I'd asked, does anybody have an affiliation with belt fed so I can use your link and you can get credit for the sale and all that kind of stuff? And someone had given me one. I used it and then later learned that was exclusive of crew members. And I was like, man, I felt really guilty. I was like, I'm not trying to take money out of this food out of this man's wife's mouth or anything like that. So I went ahead and I joined the Massonomics crew. So my 5% savings now costs me $3 a month, which is pretty typical, but I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to support it. I did try it. They have when you join, if you are so inclined, they have a Discord. I am the old man in Discord. Like I just can't keep up, man. That's what I do. Every time I try to read and follow any kind of conversation and stuff, I think you just have to get in there and do it. And I just haven't dedicated my life to it, but I really enjoy the content that they put on Instagram. I see their little clips and reels and stuff. And man, I don't know how they hit so many home runs, but they always do. I mean, just they must have created the space or something. But anyway, if you aren't already listening to it, it'd be really weird for you to be here and not there. But if you're not, you should absolutely check it out and then let me know if it's something I need to dedicate more time to. I just don't listen to a lot of this stuff. I try, especially now, like I saw where Tim Gymcrafter had posted a new one today, and I was like, made a deliberate effort not to listen to it because I was afraid it would be, I didn't want my podcasting to be like an extension of, or like a response to it or something, or us just talking to each other through podcasts. It's kind of weird too. So anyway, I'm on a ramble here. So I'm going to jump on to the next topic before it leaves my brain. Last time we talked about the JD, Gym Equipped, and the Darko track handle upgrades. So I just wanted to give a little update. I told you in the last episode that I had ordered a set I have the JDs, right? That was my collaboration with JD. He and I brought those to the market, which was in effect, I don't get when I say collaboration, I don't get a kickback or anything like that. I don't have an affiliation with JD. It's just one of those things that I really do try to support him because what I like is that we have this company. He's a very, very niche company and he makes really, really nice high-end pieces that are custom and he puts a lot of thought and effort into them for those people who really want like high-end stainless steel, well thought out, well built custom pieces, just kind of the finer things, right? And then also little things like the knobs and stuff like that, hitch pins, mag pins, those things. I really think it's cool that we live in a time with the home gym where we can customize the little things on stuff and we're not forced to do it, right? Like, for example, I'm just going to use this as an example because it speaks loudly, but Prime, everybody hates the lime green knobs on Prime. Well, if I can get JD to make Prime knobs that are an option, right? If Prime starts putting those knobs on their stuff, they're going to charge $15 a knob higher than what they're already charging for their stuff. If I can get JD to work with them or get them to work with JD and offering that same kind of a thing, then someone like me, the green knobs have grown on me. Actually, I kind of got defeated by them. When you start bringing in like a substantial amount of green in there, you just get to the point where you're like, you know what, man, I can live with green. This shade of green is better than the green that I would have to spend in order to replace all of this. And I would still have stickers and things like, you're just not going to get rid of all of it. Right. So at some point you just have to tap out. Although I don't actually hate it. I think it looks really good with my colorway. Now, Kevin, yours sucks with the red and the green and whatever, but to each their own. I'm just kidding, buddy. You know, I love you. But I really like supporting that because I think that the more that we do, the longer he'll be there whenever we want him. And if you're somebody that doesn't care about that, then you're winning anyways. Don't hate, right? So anyway, the Darko handle, I think of the Darko track handle, and like I said, I got a set of them. I'll put some like B-roll in here or whatever, so you know I'm not lying. I got the black ones. They feel like plastic, right? They're well made. I will say his 3D printer is very, very nice. They're not like hollow or anything like that. They don't add weight. They do feel like plastic. They're $50, right? I like that you can get them in different sizes. I got the 32. I do kind of wish I might have gotten like the 44 or something just to give myself a different option. So I'm not sure what'll become of these, but, the JD feels like a barbell in your hands, right? It's stainless steel. It adds some weight, which may be a problem if you're like me and you just, when you're done with your rep, whatever, you just let go, right? And you just drop the handles. It's going to slam against your upright. I don't really care about that. Some people might. I have not, they haven't like taken on any damage or anything like that since doing that. The handles themselves haven't. Haven't even noticed my uprights taking on any damage. It's just something that's you're probably running a risk of. With the Darko, I don't think you're going to do that. I think you would probably damage the handle before you damage the actual upright or anything like that. That's not to say that they feel weak. They feel like fine. It doesn't feel like knurling so much as it feels like a textured plastic. I mean, it's a heavy texture plastic, right? It doesn't have like the sharpness of like a mountain knurl or a volcano knurl or something like that. It's just, it just feels like it's much better. It's like your stock rubber. What I don't like about the rubber grip thing that comes on the track handle stock is the kind of ergonomic impregnated tapered middle thing. So the Darko is kind of your next level up, which is 3D printed plastic that's got the knurling or whatever. And it's a straight handle. Then spin on it is fine. It uses the same bushings that come on the stock one. And I don't know if I'm just so used to the JD running like 1,000 RPM whenever you spin them, but they move fine. They're not going to be a hindrance or anything like that. They're just not going to have that like spin. If you're trying to win the Pinewood Derby with them, you're going to want to go with the JD, but otherwise they're going to work just fine. At $50, I think they're like a really good, what my hope is with these. And again, with the track handles, I don't get kickbacks. I don't have an affiliation with the track fitness guy or anything like that. I just really, really do like these handles. And I think that you will too. And I think that the Darko solves a problem that a lot of people have with them. I mean, they do look better with the Darko on there. They feel better. And I think that it'll get more of those handles in more hands. And if you love them as much as I do, you might even upgrade those handles later to the JD or something like that. I don't think these are like competing necessarily products for the same customer. I think that they're a good complement to each other. So I think this is an excellent way to get into the track fitness handle. So if, like I said, I'll put some B-roll or something in there so you know that I've got both of them and you can look at both of them side by side or something like that. But the Darko is a great place to start if you're not ready to make the full plunge into the JD, or if you're concerned about the weight of them or something like that, or if you're somebody who weighs your handles and adds that to your lift, or your weightlifting gloves or whatever and adds that to your lift. Otherwise, basically, I'm still poor, but I'm still fancier. Okay, I'm not poor. I've got a gym full of, I can say that anymore. But speaking of fancy, let's talk Home Gym Con. Okay. So I know another event plug, but seriously, room blocks are available. That's just got noted. And this is one of those things, like I talk about this all the time about Home Gym Con, about kind of piecing it out, right? Like I also talked about this with somebody the other day, asked me if he should be bringing his wife. And I was like, dude, if you leave her at home, it's like half the price. But, That's up to you, but room blocks are available. So you've already bought your tickets, or you should have. They're the cheapest that they're ever going to be. They're going to just keep going up from now. Now room blocks are available, and these are also cheap. If you wait until the period ends or whatever, the price of rooms go up. So you want to stay at the Galt House. That's where everything's happening. If you're listening to this, you're nerdy enough to want to be all engulfed in Home Gym Con, and the best way to do that is to stay at the Galt House. So room blocks are now open. Jake works for me now, so I'm going to have Jake put that's a joke. I'm going to have him put a link to the room blocks or something like that in the description. I think the last time I saw an update, and this is probably changed by now, but 62 vendors already signed up. We're like a year away. That's pretty huge. Booth sizes have increased from several of those vendors. I know RitFit was one of them, Iron Bull, X-Master, who we just nerded out over their plates, Temple of Gains. They have a bigger booth this year, which is awesome because they had a pretty good sized one, I thought, last year. Prime Fitness also got a bigger booth, so excited to see what they bring. And then I've got a question for you guys now. I'll B-roll a picture of the vendors that we know have signed up so far, at least the last update that I've gotten. And my question is whether if they're already signed up or if they have not signed up, what's one company that you would really, really want to see? Would you put it in the comments, or regardless if they're signed up or not, what's a company that you are excited to see at Home Gym Con? Like, I know last year I was really excited to see Temple of Gains because I really wanted to try the multi-flight, right? I actually tried a lot more than that, and I learned a lot about their stuff and walked away with way more than what I thought that I would. And I even shit on some of their equipment pretty loudly. Like, for example, their leg extension, leg curl machines, both of them. There was a bar that went across the back of like that would stop your leg on a leg extension. I'm one of those people, I'm going to like get in this position and you're not going to see me because the camera's up here. But I like when these are my legs, right? I like when my legs are like way back, right? So I'm seated here. These are my legs. This is my junk. And my legs way back. That way, I get like a full stretch, right? I know it's probably bad. I'm sure Jim Stepani is going to tell me that what's that guy with the fake weights? Athlete X guy can tell me that I'm going to destroy my knees this way. And they're probably right. And I'll hobble around whenever I'm their age. But I like to do that. Well, the Temple of Gains thing has a bar that prevents you from doing that on both of their leg extension machines. And, he had talked about this at Home Gym Con. I just didn't know what the time frame was going to be or anything, but he had already been working with the manufacturer about a fix for that. And I noticed, just recently, as this past week, that the new updates are now hitting the ground. Like, a lot of people I've seen people posting. The website still wasn't updated, so it still has the version 2. I don't know if he's going to call it version 3 or not, or if he's just going to I know that he's just going to, anybody that orders one now is going to get the new update that has a curved, I'll see if I can find a picture of it for B-roll here, but a curved bar in the back there. So it's not going to prevent your legs from full extension or it's not extension, the other one, the opposite of extension on that. So that's pretty exciting. If I had the old one, I would reach out and see if I could get a new part. I'm sure that, he's going to love me for that. But, there's only 3 of you listening anyway. So that is something that I just wouldn't have even known to look out for. It's one of those companies. That's an example of a company that I was excited to see, and I'm still excited to have seen it and learned and figure out a lot of stuff about. So I want to know from you who you would like to see, what items or equipment from what manufacturers you would like to see, whether if they've signed up already or not. Who is it? Okay. And yes, if you're wondering, I am the guy who books a hotel room for a gym convention but still hasn't bought a birthday gift for his daughter because I have priorities, I guess. I don't know. So I'm just going to go down a gear and gadget rabbit hole real quick. The Chirp back massager. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again because this is one of those things. This might be just a testament of like how old I am, me being an old man here. So share my screen. This Chirp contour decompression and massage table. I don't know if you've seen this thing. It's all over my feed, right? These are the ads that you get when you're a month away from being 45. $600. I think it looks incredible. Like, look at this lady's face right now. Look at the face that was like an O face if I've ever seen one. And I don't know if I ever have, actually. Not a real one anyway. But it looks pretty amazing, looks pretty incredible. I'm wondering if anybody out there has seen this, if anybody out there is as interested as I am or knows anything about it, can give me any insight more than what this lady's face is showing me right now. Another gear and gadget rabbit hole that I've gone down recently is this dude, Ryan Humiston or something like that. I should probably know his name because he's got, a way bigger following than I do. And that was not what caught my eye. But, he has this narrow pad. Now, this is one of those things that I have been talking about for a really long time. I had a narrower bench from Hammer Strength before, and got rid of that, got this rep bench that was like 12 inches wide, kept thinking maybe I would just get used to it. I actually really don't love that. I still don't love the wider benches. It's one of the things that I really like about this Prime Shorty is that it's narrow again. But what this guy is coming out with or working with AbMat to create is a narrow pad that you can just put on top of your bench. Now, I've talked with Jared Martin about the bamboo pad, which is something similar to this, but longer. So it's maybe not going to, force you in a weird kind of arch position or anything like that. But regardless, there's this thing that he showed off right now, that very narrow bench that we looked at from ATX after Home Gym Con, if you were following the Home Gym podcast. But it kind of looks like a guitar case or something like that, but it's the same purpose, right? So something I think is really, really cool, this narrow pad with him. If that's something you're into, you can just kind of look him up. It's Ryan Humiston, Humistan. And he's got a website you can go to where you can sign up to be notified whenever it's available or something like that. But that he's quickly showing you kind of the idea of the concept. It's just not complete yet. So if that's something you'd be into, it gives you the ability to like go into like a full scapular retraction or whatever for your flies and things like that. So you don't have any interference. Like for me, it's like right back here, on the back of my shoulder when I do a fly, or even with a bench press, it'll kind of get in the way. So, and one last thing here for the gear and gadget rabbit hole is going to be Cleva Adroit Landmine 2.0 from Rep Fitness. Now, I couldn't find anything. I saw something that said it was going to be available through the Rep website on August 19th. Today is August 18th. And I can't find anything anymore that supports that, but I did see it. And it was official. It was from Rep. I just can't find it now. So I was just going to talk about that, showcase this just a little bit. Now, I will admit I have been probably I would say the toughest critic, but I really think I might be like the only critic. And it's not because it's not a good landmine. It's not because it's not a phenomenal landmine. It is those things. I just can't help it. I'm just an asshole. And sometimes there are things that I see in something that I'm like, well, that should be, maybe are we overthinking this, right? Like, so one of the things that people really love about the Adroit is it's lined with, this plastic, right? It's like to protect your barbell or something. And I'm on the surface, that sounds really good. And I'm sure that it is. I don't know anybody that doesn't want to protect their barbell. But at the same time, I'm like, most people protect their barbell by using a freaking beater bar, right? Like everyone has a dedicated, some sort of barbell specifically for their landmine so that they can have their $700 barbell hanging on the wall, never to be used. And if you're not, if you're using your $700 one, I think that your problem is probably deeper rooted than the plastic on the inside of your landmine, but maybe not. I don't know. To each their own, right? We let people enjoy things. I just point out that maybe we're overselling that, for its actual practical use, right? But I do like it. I like that it's something, and it is very clear that it is a selling point for most people. And it gets more of these things in more gyms, gets people to use them. And that's what it's all about, right? So another thing, that I was pretty critical on, especially of this 2.0, was this like weak ass little knob, right? And the reason why is because I have the Monster 2.0, and the knob on that thing, if you've ever seen the Rogue knurled knob, it's substantial. Like it fits in your hand. it weighs like a pound. It's a nice, if you're going to move that thing on and off of your rack and stuff like that, it is a really nice knob. I think every other knob that I've seen, like the one from Rohrman Strength, who we talked about earlier. There's also one from Mutant Metals, like a 3D printed. There are several different iterations, and they all seem to kind of, in some way, kind of mimic more so the hand size, the diver sized knob that Rogue makes, except for this one. This one is really, it's pretty small. I've got one in my garage, and it's like, if you're actually going to use it, it almost gives me like a hand cramp trying to, getting it on and off of there and stuff like that. So it's like, if you're going to leave it on the rack full time, it's not that big of a deal. If you're moving it around and stuff, it's kind of chintzy. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this now and pointing this out now is because the rep version, I saw it at Home Gym Con. It fixes that. They put a bigger, I'll see, I may have a picture here that I can just pull up quickly without having the B-roll. But I will, they put a more substantial knob on it. So I'm glad for that. I was happy to see that. I think that, anybody that buys that one will be happy for it too. They probably won't even know that they got an upgraded knob, at least in my opinion, which may be only my opinion, and I'm okay. I'll accept that. I'm scrolling through here looking to see if I can locate the picture to support my claim that they have somehow made a change to that. So bear with me. But I do think that is important for anybody. If you are buying it because of its maneuverability, or it's, to take it on and off of the rack and all that kind of stuff, I do think that the knob is important. And I felt like this was like an afterthought knob or something, and maybe not. Maybe there was some reason for it. So, all right, here is the picture. Okay. So here's the new knob, right? You can see that. I trust that you can see that. Yeah. Okay. New knob, much larger. Okay. Going to be a little bit easier. It's got fewer, little finger ports, I think, compared to this one. Maybe not. I might have made that part up. Nope, not fewer. Same number of ports. Hell, it might be the same knob. You know what? I don't know. What do I know? It looks bigger in the picture. Maybe they just shaved it. Maybe they just shaved everything around it to make it look like a bigger knob. But it does look like a bigger knob. Okay. Now the other thing that I complained about, and this is like really down in the weeds. Okay. So you see this piece right here. If you're looking at the screen, if you're driving down the road, don't look at your screen. I am showing a picture of the Adroit Landmine 2.0 from Cleva, and I am specifically pointing out the little that goes into the rack and attaches it to the landmine piece. It's like a little turnbuckle type thing. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom in on just that piece alone. And what I'm referring to now is this bolt right here. This is something and this is way down in the weeds. This is like super, super nerd, super like nobody should complain about this, but I did. Like whenever I first opened up my Adroit Landmine 2.0, and I'm looking at this like very well crafted, beautiful piece of gym equipment, right? He even goes like, people love this about Cleva, about this experience, right? I think it's like a Coop thing where Coop talks about like opening packages should feel like you're opening an Apple product or something like that. I don't subscribe to that. I'm like, dude, put it in an adequate package. Don't charge me for the extra bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, don't make that part of what I'm spending. If I could have got this for $109 and got it in a brown box, I'd totally do that. You know what I mean? It saved me the $30 and the experience, but I get it. Some people are into that and whatever. But with this one, I open it up and it's like that moment that like, whoa, right. And then the first thing I get struck with is this Lowe's Home Depot, like zinc bolt. And I'm not saying that it should have been like a stainless steel bolt or anything like that. What I really felt like should have been done instead to make it look clean and like intentional. And what I really appreciate about like the Rogue piece is that it looks like every single piece of it is made for that piece of equipment. And this was the thing that was a big miss for me on that. And stay with me because I'm going to get back to the rep version in just a minute. But what I think I would have wanted to see in this to really, really clean it up and really, really just like, make sure that every single piece of it is like handcrafted by the hand of Enzo Ferrari or whatever, would be to, how this side right here, this end right here is, threaded, right? So this piece goes through an open spot and then threads into that. If they would have threaded like both sides or something maybe, and then used two clean headed, bolts, like Allen bolts or something like that are like round heads or something, one on each side so that they kind of meet in the middle, it would still hold its purpose. It would still solve that same problem there. I mean, it wouldn't be an issue and it would just look cleaner. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't have this one side with a big wart on the end of it and then clean on the other side. It would I just think that would be super like polished. Right. I know that's dumb. I shouldn't even say it. I feel like an asshole saying it, and I feel even worse, for saying it again. And now, especially, it's been fixed, right? It's not still on the rep site, but the rep version, you can kind of see here, they did clean that up a bit. Let me see if I think I have a better picture. Let me drop a better picture in there. Okay. Well, it's still not a good picture, but it's a picture nonetheless. Yeah. Okay. So you can kind of see in this blurry blob of a photo, there's like a plastic cover kind of a thing on it. So at least you're not staring at it. Right. I do think that's better. Maybe my solution there wasn't feasible from like a strength test or something like that. I doubt it, but maybe, they do know more about this stuff than I do. I feel like sometimes you get a microphone and a YouTube channel or something like that, and all of a sudden, you're telling people how they should be running their business and shit. And I really don't know anything. So don't listen to me, but that's my experience with it. And I think that they cleaned this up really well. I wish I would have got a better picture of it because it was something that I absolutely noticed. So anyway, that Cleva Rep Adroit landmine drop is coming soon. Should be August 19th. If not, then maybe that's why they took it down and I can't find it because they changed their mind or something like that. But be on the lookout for that. I know that's been pretty highly anticipated. Everyone seems to love that landmine. And now my Adroit 2.0 stock value is about to drop as soon as that does. So basically, my IG ads know me better than my own mom, which means it's time for me to wrap this up. Okay. So I guess that's another episode of Rep, Rant, Repeat. I promise I'm going to learn how to say that out loud. I probably should have said that out loud a few times before I decided to go with the name, because every time I do, it's like I can't quite spit it out. If you ever, just a tip, if you ever decide to start any sort of a podcast or anything like that, and you're going to be saying the name of it out loud over and over again, make sure you can without stumbling. But anyway, it's a podcast that proves that anyone with a microphone and a poor spending habit can get on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. So follow, tag, comment, and remember, I'm just here to make you feel better about your own gym decisions.